Hello everybody. Good evening and welcome to the BPSA Women in Pharmacy webinar. So the title of this webinar is From Aspiration to Action, Women Shaping Pharmacy. So my name is Erica and I am the BPSA Competitions Coordinator. And I also have here my co-host with me.
Hi everyone, I'm Nicole and I'm a BPSA competitions officer, and like Erica said, I'll be helping her out with co-hosting this webinar.
Amazing, thank you so much. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here tonight for all of us to kind of come together to be able to hear from these inspirational speakers. The webinar is really significant and it's kind of been created to align with this year's International Women's Day theme, which is Accelerate Action. So it's a push for progress and for us to kind of break barriers and drive meaningful change, not just in our profession, but also in society as a whole. So at the BPSA, we recognize the importance of empowering pharmacy students and early career professionals by providing opportunities to connect, learn, and be inspired. So this webinar is not just about hearing success stories, but it's also about showing you what's possible and equipping you guys with the confidence to pursue your own path in pharmacy. So we are absolutely thrilled to have such a diverse panel of accomplished speakers here with us today. And I know that they're all really eager to share their journeys and challenges and insights with us all. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. Just sit back, relax. And also at the end of this webinar as well, if I just let you guys, at the end of this webinar, we'll be having a Q&A session. So as speakers are talking, just so that you don't forget, feel free to be putting in your questions and we'll kind of address them at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Nicole, who will introduce our first speaker.
So to start with, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Avena Aboyage. So Avena studied pharmacy at the University of Bath, and then she went on to become a PCN pharmacist, later becoming the lead clinical pharmacist in Maidenhead. And alongside this role, she's also the founder of a wellness podcast Sunday evenings and a panel host. So I look forward to hearing about your experiences navigating through your career. So Avena, please take it away.
Hi everyone. Thank you guys for having me on. I know it's been a long day for most of us, so I've tried to keep my introduction kind of simple, but yes, I am a pharmacist for PCN. I'm not sure, and guys, feel free to unmute yourselves and like jump in and respond. But do you guys all know what a PCN pharmacist is? Like, is that something that you guys are familiar with?
A primary care network pharmacist, am I correct? So
yeah, exactly. So primary care network, which to be fair, I graduated university in 2019 from the University of Bath, and then I did my pre-registration year in community pharmacy. And at this point, there was a lot of talk because this is around COVID, so there was a lot of talk as to what was going to happen with pharmacists. And I think generally speaking, a lot of people found that if you chose community pharmacy, your career options were kind of limited. And then at the same time, there were lots of like doctor strikes with COVID. It was just really apparent that there needed to be something more in primary care, which is like your GP practice, to actually support the patients. And so they thought, why don't we put pharmacists in GP practices? So it was kind of already a thing, but it wasn't as widespread. So when I kind of graduated, it was more kind of becoming a thing. But of course, I had to do my pre-reg exam during COVID, which was postponed. And that was quite difficult. And then actually, because my year was so difficult, I decided that I didn't want to be a pharmacist. So I did something else. And then by the time I'd come out of that thing, I then saw that PCN was really blowing up, and it seemed to be a good balance of pharmacy, but then also working with other professions. So I just want to quickly run through my background. So I mentioned that I graduated from university, and I think you guys are all students, so you're not far off from that point yourselves. After graduation, did my community pre-reg. Did I enjoy pre-reg? Honestly, I mean, I'll be interested to see what the other panelists think, but I found my pre-reg really difficult. I think it's a very challenging year, and I guess it either makes you or breaks you. And for me, I would definitely say it broke me. Like, I found it really difficult, and I had worked in jobs before, but I just found it very kind of like tough given that it was COVID. And I think, you know, imagine the pressure, but then times three, because we were kind of one of the only professions that were out working and things. So it was really difficult. On top of that, our exam got postponed, which just kind of prolonged everything. So I finished that, and then I thought, okay, like the world is my oyster. What else can I do? So I decided to join a market research analyst company called Branding Science, and they basically do market research for pharmaceutical companies. So I guess that was my introduction into corporate. And I'd kind of done like little stints throughout university and internships. So I kind of thought, okay, if I'm not going to work with patients, let me try the pharmaceutical industry or get my foot in the door. Did this for about a year and a half. And do you know what? I really thought I'd love it. Like, all my friends were like, you're going to love corporate, you know, we see this for you. And again, I didn't really enjoy it. So I've done my pre-reg, didn't really enjoy that. Did the market research analyst, which was in London. It was really exciting. I met lots of new people, and the socials were great, but the day-to-day I really struggled with. And so I was just like, okay, what do I do? Like, this is really difficult. So left that job, and in the sort of thinking phase, I decided to locum as a pharmacist. So locuming is just basically when you're just going from place to place working as a pharmacist, and the money's great, but in terms of stability, I wouldn't say it's the most stable option. But that was just kind of I'm going to think about what to do next. So I did that, and then I saw that the PCN job came up, decided to give it a go because it seemed like a good again, it seemed like a good mix actually between corporate and community. And I think community was so patient focused, but almost to the point where you kind of get burnt out. And I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but you get quite burnt out because it's quite a laborious task in terms of like standing up all day, and like you're dealing with customers day in, day out. So, you know, it's quite taxing in my opinion. And then when you're in corporate, the thing that I enjoyed about it was that you were working in a team. It was more of a vibrant culture. Work-life balance was a little bit better in some respects, and it was a bit more varied. So when you have PCN, you're working in GP practices, and I found that it really brought those two skill sets really nicely together. So, you know, I'm still here doing PCN work. I'm based in two practices, and yeah, we have a really great team. You work with GPs, you work with physios, paramedics, nurses, like pretty much anyone that you can find in your GP practice. And I like that you have your own clinic list. So it's kind of just like seeing patients back to back, but you're also involved in meetings and audits, and you can kind of structure your day how you want it. And yeah, I just really am enjoying that so far. I think by the time most of you are students that I think are on a course, which means that when you leave, you'll be prescribers. Is that right? I think that's the thing that you're all doing now. I think, yeah, the course now for MPharm, I think you all come out as prescribers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I'm like the last cohort where I think that was not a thing. So in order to become a prescriber in GP, we had to do a long 18-month course, which is done and out the way. And that's just kind of like, it's kind of just filling out the basics of, I guess, community and hospital and moving into GP practices. So it was good, it's funded, and it's done. And then I'm hoping to start my IP in September, and that's a 6-month course that you do with like a higher education place. So I think I'll go back to Bath and do that. So I wanted to kind of advise you guys on my failures, because I know that there's lots of like successes that we can talk about, but I think my failures have probably shaped me and continue to shape me. So on the next slide, thank you. So the next slide, this is my first piece of advice. Here we go. It's just about being resilient. So one thing that I actually was so embarrassed about for such a long time is that actually when I did my pre-reg exam, I actually failed it twice and I passed in my last and final attempt. So as you can imagine, it was very nerve-wracking, but yeah, I just want to remind you that, it's International Women's Day. This is such an amazing, webinar that you've attended, but if I can leave you with one piece of advice, there's a few others coming up, but the main piece of advice I would give you is to be resilient. So if I had given up and just decided to not retake the exam, I probably wouldn't be here today sharing my experiences, which I'm hoping will inspire you in some way. The thing with resilience is it's not particularly nice to go through, but I want you guys to remember that failure doesn't define you. And honestly, you will come out stronger. So whatever failures you think you're going through right now, whether you're at university or even when you finish university and you think, oh, like I'm not doing as well as X, Y, and Z, or, this person seems to be having an amazing career, or I'm trying this thing and it's just not working. Like, be resilient, don't give up, because you're actually only a failure when you give up. So yeah, speaking from a past and current failure, actually, I'm still like failing quickly and hopefully also succeeding quickly, because you learn so many kind of lessons in the journey. And then the second piece of advice that I want to give you guys, which is slide number 2, please. Oh, I don't know if I can control this. Oh, there we go. So the next piece of advice is the world is actually your oyster. So I mentioned earlier about how I basically did my pre-reg, hated it, thought I'd try something else, didn't quite enjoy it, and then I came back to pharmacy. So pharmacy is quite a small world, but it really doesn't have to be. Like, I think you should explore as much as possible. If you have, or you think you have an interest in any other thing that's not pharmacy, I would like strongly recommend just, investing in that hobby, making that passion a thing, and like not giving up and just focusing purely on pharmacy, which sounds a bit contradictory, but honestly, because of my other passions, I've been open to so many other opportunities. So for example, through my podcast, I've then been able to host like pretty cool events. And also I've launched my own YouTube channel. So I'm kind of developing these other skills that I enjoy doing outside of pharmacy. And I still use them in pharmacy, but it's like an outside of pharmacy thing. And the world really is your oyster, basically. You can do whatever you want to do. And you can have, a side business, you can have a side passion, you can be an artist and a pharmacist. Because what I tend to find is sometimes as pharmacists, we are very like tunnel visioned. And once we're pharmacists, that's like or becoming a pharmacist is our main goal. But we have to remember, like, there's so much else out there that we can do. And actually, I have so many friends that graduated from uni and they're doing really cool things as well. So I think it's nice to just remind ourselves that we aren't our jobs, and there's a lot of other things that we can kind of involve ourselves in if we're proactive. The next piece of advice I have is just on the next slide. And that is basically getting as much experience as you can so you know what you like and what you don't like. I thought that I was going to be a corporate babe, and deep down I'm still like, ugh, could I? But honestly, I did it and I hated it. I just found that actually I need stimulation. Clearly, I love to talk. So in corporate environments, you're not always the one that's, I don't know how to put it, you're not always the one driving those conversations. The job that I was doing anyway, it was a lot of like PowerPoints and amending PowerPoints and reports and da-da-da. And it was corporate, so I thought I'd like it, but actually I didn't know that I wouldn't unless I'd done it. So what I would recommend is most of you are students, and actually most of you have time in summers to like maybe pick up an internship or pick up some volunteering in literally lots of different industries, lots and different types of jobs, the pharmaceutical industry, industries that maybe you wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. I would just say try everything and anything. And even if you do something and find out you don't like it, that is such a blessing, because what you don't want to do is not try something and then, kind of put all your eggs in one basket. And then you're like, if I'd maybe done an internship or some work experience, I would have found out sooner. So I think, yeah, just try and get as much experience as you can, and not knowing you don't like something is equally as valuable as knowing that you do like something, because that really helps you know what your strengths are and what your skills are, and that will really show you what kind of career you want to have. And then I think this is my last piece of advice, which is on the next slide, please. Oh no, that was my last piece of advice. So again, that was very quick. I know I spoke very quickly, but if anyone has any questions, anyone wants to delve in, ask me anything about anything I've mentioned, then you can find me by just emailing my personal email address or even on LinkedIn. Connect with me, follow me, add me as a friend, ask me anything. I'm very open and I really, love giving advice and also just getting advice from others. So yeah, feel free to reach out. So that's me. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Yep, just if anyone has any questions, just put it in the Q&A box and we will cover that at the end of the webinar after all the speakers have spoken. But yeah, that was really interesting. Thank you, Avina, for telling us about your journey, exploring a number of career paths as well as the challenges you face. I'm sure all of us have can relate to failure at every stage of our life. So it's really interesting how you balanced your role as a pharmacist as well as your social media projects. So thank you so much for giving us insight into your journey of resilience and determination, and I hope that everyone listening will take your advice moving forward. So thank you.
No problem. And just quickly, I can see there's actually a question in the Q&A box. How do you find the motivation and energy to stay active in your interests outside of pharmacy work without it getting overwhelming, as the degree and the job can get quite taxing already in itself? Yeah, that's a really good point. What I would say is time, I guess. So you guys are mainly, I'm not sure, but I think you guys are between year 1 and 4 perhaps. So I'm 5 years post graduation. So obviously I'm able to tell you that I've done but I'm not where you guys are and we're not on equal playing field. So what I would say is just take one step at a time. And even if you feel oh, right now my main focus is my degree, that's a perfect way to prioritize and focus on that. I think what you'll find is as you start working, especially in that pre-reg year, one of the reasons it's so tough is you're working, but you're studying, right? So you have to balance your time really well. But once you do the exam, you were spending that time studying. So if you have something that you want to do or, just enjoy and do outside of work, that's basically the time that you can use. So I think just get good at time management, but also get good at prioritizing your rest. I've been in the situation where I've tried to do so many things at once and you just end up being burnt out. So you can't do everything at once. Try one thing at a time and fail quickly if you have to, and then move on quickly as well, is what I would say, instead of kind of staying stuck in the same place. So yeah, I hope that helps. That's the only question. If anyone's got any others, if not, I'll pass it on to the next speaker.
Oh. So I'd like to hand over to Sharifa Salal next. So just to introduce her very quickly, Sharifa is a highly experienced pharmacist and is currently working as a Band 8 pharmacist specializing in acute medicine and emergency care, whilst also pursuing an independent prescribing course specializing in asthma. And in addition to this, Sharifa is also an international keynote speaker and recently spoke at Pharma Days in Geneva. She is also a UN Women UK delegate and is advocating for gender equality and global initiatives. Her diverse background spans across the NHS, the GP sector, hospitals, prisons, mental facilities, community, and airport pharmacies. And today she will be sharing with us her exciting journey in the pharmacy world. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. What an honor to be amongst such amazing, accomplished, and inspiring women. So after Avena spoken, I don't know if I should actually go next because you've accomplished so much, but thank you. Okay, let's go. So a little bit about me. Do you want to go to the next slide? Sorry, it's my first time doing a webinar. I usually speak on stage, so I just a bit stuck. So a bit about me. Yeah, that's me. I think Nicole's given me a really good introduction, but I'll just tell you a bit about myself and how I grew up. So I'm from Seaside in East Sussex. I've actually lost my voice. It's a terrible time to speak, but small little town, not very ethnically diverse, not really great opportunities, but my parents are adamant on sending me to an international sort of school, despite being from East Sussex, so no diversity at all. So I went to international boarding school, and I feel like it was a girls' school, so I feel like it being International Women's Day, I have to speak about this girls' school. It's amazing. It's definitely I spent my formative years there, and I think this is probably why I'm able to sort of like speak quite eloquently, have so much opportunities. It was founded by like 3 amazing sisters, basically, my old school, and they're really known for just producing sort of like women that shape the future leaders. Like we have elocution lessons, we have like finishing school lessons, and like they try and make us explore everything. So regardless, skiing, netball, like I was spotted to play for England, but parents being African, you have to go down the route of academia. I also got opportunity to debate in Spain with another international school there. So I've always kind of thought outside the box and had opportunity to like look outside the box and try different things. Sorry, if you go to the next slide, Nicole, it explains a bit more so everyone can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's a bit about my upbringing. Sorry, I'm trying to understand. Okay, yeah, so I've just spoken about that and just having international experience, despite being in a very sort of stringent, lack of diversity sort of atmosphere, being in a place that doesn't really have opportunities. So I had to find opportunities, and my parents were adamant on me always seeing the bigger picture outside of the UK. So I've always been interested in global sort of health, because I have loads of friends who are all over the country. Like any country I go to, I have a friend there. So it's just great to have that sort of opportunity experience. So if we go to the next slide, Nicole already touched on everything that I've achieved. So as you all know, that currently working as an advanced acute pharmacist and emergency care. So I cover A&E, SDEC. So when you come in, there's a whole triage of like emergency care. I basically just sort of help in terms of medicine reconciliation. I work with the consultants in terms of discharging, so quick, fast discharges. That's what I do. I've also had the opportunity to work in GP surgeries, similar to Abena, large PCNs, very, very busy, 12 hours, kind of never finish on time, but I was lucky to get some remote work as well. Worked in community. I worked in a plethora of pharmacy platforms, so that being mental health, prisons, hospitals. But my proudest achievement is actually speaking last year as a keynote speaker at Pharma Days. So I brought up an audit that I did at one of my GP surgeries. I went in as a health consultant actually in GP surgeries, so slightly different from Abena. So I went in there basically to improve medicine reconciliations, because there are lots of medicine reconciliations that weren't done on time. So my job was to show that what pharmacists can bring to GP surgeries, and then present the audit, then find solutions in terms of finding why there's issues with patient transfer of care. Then I was spotted whilst I was presenting this in Geneva by a health tech company called Salutare, so shout out Salutare, and they are based in Europe. So they're creating an app just to help in terms of patient transfer of care. So opportunities, that just kind of fell on my lap. I was quite lucky. So if we go to the next slide, I speak about Stream Pharma, because that's probably the reason why I was able to get this opportunity to work on a healthcare startup. So as it says, so Stream Pharma basically involves a lot of sort of digital support for general practices, so really improves. So anyone that's working in GP, look into Stream Pharma. So I do some part-time work with them, but at the moment my role is in NHS. So we leverage like digital technologies to basically address clinical safety issues and monitoring patient experiences and outcomes, and just provide like extensive like clinical support, which can be remote as well. So if you want the opportunity to work remotely and still get like a hybrid sort of opportunity, which I think nowadays everybody kind of wants some kind of remote or hybrid job. You don't want to be going 2 hours in traffic every day to work. So it's a great opportunity to work with Stream Pharma. They've done a lot in terms of developing healthcare sort of digitally. So brings another face to pharmacy. If you go to the next slide, I speak a bit more about maybe why I have these attributes. So as at uni, similar to Abena, I don't know, I keep mentioning you, Abena. I think I'm just really, really proud of you because I think I can relate to you. So I didn't apply for pharmacy, I applied for medical school. But sometimes I really think rejection is redirection, because I've got all the grades, you know, all the A stars, A's, I got A levels, and I just didn't pass my UCAT. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll go to university. That will allow me to transfer first year to medical school. But God had other plans. I got to university, didn't get the grades to transfer into medical school. So I was stuck. I say stuck in quotations because it's definitely a blessing, with pharmacy. So I was like, okay, what can I do in uni? Because pharmacy is not really what I wanted to do. I want to create opportunities for myself. So I joined the Navy. So it was the Royal Sussex Naval Unit, and I learned so much about leadership. I met so many friends that I'm still friends with today, but we celebrated her 30th birthday recently, so friends for 10 years. And it just opened my eyes into like other opportunities. So they even offered like a degree for medics, not for pharmacists, sorry. So you can literally work if you want to transfer to, well, I shouldn't say that now, but if you want to transfer to medicine or whatever, they were going to pay for it. So there's just many opportunities. And I was looking, okay, how can pharmacists work within like, you know, the naval sort of unit? So in terms of leadership skills, got that from there, resilience, being motivated, like, and it's all about teamwork as well. So we had different shifts. We had to watch, some people to watch the boat late at night, to wash the ship. It was a really fun experience. It's like a little summer school. So we used to go on deployments around the Baltic Seas. That really helped me. At uni, I got involved in volunteering at the hospice, Martlet's Hospice. I worked with children with special educational needs for the local council. What else did I get involved in? So many. I did Spanish, so I got to diploma level 3. I want to build up global opportunities. And then when we had our dissertation, so look at dissertations that give you like really good experiences. I wanted to always do global, so I worked with Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, Doctors Without Borders, but for Haiti. So I specialized in women's health and improving women's health by focusing on antibiotics used in women's health. So only 10, and it's meant to be re-audited. So basically, Haiti has a lot of political instability, and a lot of their healthcare workers have left and they've gone to other countries. So I had to basically provide training for unqualified healthcare workers. So people that don't have the formal training of like pharmacy, medicine, but they're actively involved in the maternal health of their patients. That's kind of what I did. What else have I done? I did my pre-reg. I wanted to get out of my little small towns. I did my pre-reg in London. It was a very arduous experience, very much character building. It was split. I did hospital and community, and I don't quite understand why there's such a discrepancy or animosity between community and hospital. Like we all take the same exam, so I didn't quite understand that. So I came from 6 months community, went to hospital, and I always felt like I was out of place, or I was always, you know, the underdog. And it's quite actually a fun experience being the underdog, because no one ever suspects that you're really going to shine and do really well, and then you're never sort of placed in a position where people are sort of competing with you. So I kind of like that position. It was very advantageous for me, but I really do hope we get a little bit more cohesion with the different aspects of pharmacy. So we've got industry, we've got community, we've got hospital. We're all pharmacists. We all take the same exam. So that's something I really wanted to touch on. So pharmacy, my pre-reg, very, very difficult year. Failed the first time because I just didn't have a mentor that I could really rely on and was very supportive. In fact, quite the opposite. Most challenging experience of my life, but it really taught me character building, getting to understand people. So I decided that, you know what, I want to shape my own path in pharmacy. I started speaking to loads of different pharmacists when I was working at different rotation sites. I had different rotations like every month. So every month I was a new place. So that was really easy for me when I started locuming, because I was like, okay, a new system again, fine, easy, calm. So I decided that I really want to focus on compassionate leadership and just be the mentor that I never had when I was a pre-reg. If you go to the next slide, please, Nicole, thank you. So on the next slide, I just basically reinforced about how Navy, netball are spotted for England. So I've competed into high sort of level of netball, all helped me. My experience working in London, I worked in East London, so like the heart of London. So coming from a small town to East London, I mean, it's like throwing like a lamb to the wolves. It was intense, but I really needed that in terms of character building. So I think my pre-reg year, I didn't really focus so much on academics because we're all going to pass. Everyone's going to become a pharmacist. You're all going to do great, but it's what you make out of your experiences. And I was like, what can I do in East London? So I started selling hair. I've got my own hair company. I was like, I need to hustle because it was so hard with studying and working, but I guess, as you know, you won't get paid that much, and living in London is extortionate, as you may all know. So are you able to go to the next slide, Nicole? Are you on there? I messed it up. Perfect. So on the next slide, I basically explain about one of my favorite quotes, and something really resonates with me. So when you don't fit into a predefined box, society really struggles to comprehend you. Some will try to bring you down, confined by their own limitations, bearing in mind it's their own limitations, but rise beyond their constraints, thrive on your own terms, and redefine the space they never imagined possible. And that's exactly what I did. So if you go to the next slide. Shall I wait? Okay, so one of the boldest steps I did in my career was quit my job in London. So I had this amazing job in London. It's like my favorite hospital. I used to literally go to like just a park opposite and just hang out with my colleagues all the time. So I got to a band 8 role. I did all the, you know, bandings, band 6, band 7, band 8. I even did a bit of locuming because I got a bit tired of pharmacy, came back to it. And I really worked hard for this position. Like I prayed really hard for this job. And the interview was so arduous, it was tedious. And I got to the job and I was like, what is there? Like there's more to pharmacy than this. The team were amazing. I really didn't want to quit my job, but I had to because of the living cost in London was just, it was just absolutely exorbitant. I really couldn't afford it. Like I was in debt and I had this amazing title, you know, amazing role, but I literally couldn't afford to do a lot of things, like even going on just holidays. I have literally, I didn't want to get into it, but I got into debt and I was like, I'm basically having a job that's getting me out of debt, which is, it's a scary thought, right? So I quit my job because of money and like not being able to sort of sustain myself, which I never thought would be a thing, because that's what we work for, to provide for our family, our friends, you know. So I went back. Can you imagine, like as a band 8A, you've achieved so much. I went back home to my small little town that people don't really think too much outside the box. And returning home is probably what I needed. So in terms of just recuperating sort of funds and looking at other aspects. So I was locuming and then I decided, I saw a conference to go to a Farmer Days conference. I want to get into industries. I was like, let me create my own path, let me get into industry myself. So looked into it. I didn't want to go alone. You know, you're young, you don't want to go alone. So I was meant to go with my friend. She's a doctor. She unfortunately had some issue in terms of on-call, so she couldn't come. So I was like, okay, I'm not going. And last minute, I was like, you know what? The conference was the day after. I was like, you know what? I'm going to book my flight. It was like 11 p.m. at night. The flight was at 5 a.m. Conference starts at 9. And I was like, Father, please take me to the airport. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we're driving. I just need, he took me to the coach because I think it was a bit of a stretch because he had work the next day. It was during the weekday. And best thing I've ever done. I went in there. I was the only person of color going to this conference. Everyone was a bit confused, like what I was doing. They're like, are you speaking? And I was like, no, I can't possibly speak. Like, no, come on. Like, no, I can't be speaking. I'm just there to attend. Not knowing that in a year's time, I'll be asked to speak. So I go there now and I just about get there at 9 a.m. I remember this very vividly. Get there at 9 a.m. I'm wearing a really bright red dress, you know, ready for a conference. And I get there and women in pharma, some really accomplished women that have done amazing things in terms of with their families, set up companies. Oh, something's happened. Set up companies and everything. And they asked, okay, why are you guys here today? What have you achieved? And I just said, I'm here to network. I'm here to understand how to break even into a space that is not really open to a lot of healthcare workers in the UK. I just don't think healthcare workers in the UK are very great at networking. And I want to dispel that myth, basically. That's what I'm trying to do. And yeah, lo and behold, I didn't realize that someone who was very important was listening. She was like the head of the conference and she just took my email and goes, oh, you know what? I'd like to speak to you. I didn't know why she wanted to speak to me. I was like, yeah, here, sure. Enjoy the rest of the conference. They had this beautiful canopy, castle at the end of the conference. And I got to meet some inspirational people. I met, what's his name? Lewis Hamilton's brother, Nicholas Hamilton. So that was really exciting. If you go to the next slide, Nicole, if you can. Yeah, this is the one. Perfect. So basically the next year now I was invited to speak at the conference and I wasn't ready. I was in the middle of doing my independent prescribing. I was going through a lot of family sort of tribulations and I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And the kind of speakers that were there, they were super accomplished, and me being the only woman of color, and I was probably one of the youngest as well. I really didn't think I was was deserving of this position, but I just want to let you know that you are always worthy. Even like you can be this youngest. I've always kind of been the youngest in most rooms. Even when I became a band 8, I was one of the youngest there and people didn't quite understand why I'm so young and doing this. But it's really about the experience in your years, not really about the years that you spent. Like you can spend 20 years in a job and not have the same experience as someone's been there for 5 years. So I attended this really prestigious pharmacy conference. I had the honor of speaking alongside like some influential leaders, like people that directors of Sanofi, people that I never thought I would ever sort of rub shoulders with like that. And so it was a thrilling experience. I engaged in such high level discussions on healthcare innovation, and then I was headhunted to join the European healthcare startup, which is an opportunity that like underscores like the impact of contributions in this field. I just wasn't expecting that. I still, to this day, I'm still struggling to like understand my role there and like how to negotiate for myself. because I'm so inexperienced. I always ask my friends who do work in health tech, like, how do I negotiate my contract, stuff like that. It's really great. Next slide, please, Nicole. So then after doing that, I realized that, okay, I'm a good speaker, I'm a good advocate. So I applied to as a participant for the UN Women UK CSW forum. So CSW basically stands for Commission of Society of Status of Women, basically. And we just try to improve gender parity by many different means. So that can be digital health, education, working on domestic violence. There's a lot of ways that we can all get involved. And I think that the biggest message I get from the UN Women UK is that you can be anyone. You don't have to be someone that has all the titles. You don't have to be someone who is super accomplished, as long as you have passion and drive. Everyone can make a difference. And that kind of relates to my dissertation I did with MSF. The people that were really making the difference were the people that were unqualified healthcare workers. They didn't have a degree in medicine, didn't have a degree in healthcare, but they were the ones making the change and implementing the change for women in Haiti experiencing maternal health issues. So that's really great. But what I really want to emphasize on is just getting more men involved in conversations, because it's great talking about gender equality, but achieving true progress requires like collective effort and engaging men as allies to ensure that we can get the message to like a bigger audience. And one thing I really liked, I attended a conference, and there's a woman there, her name was Susan Bright. So she basically chairs 50-50 parliament. So the population of women in the UK, there's 51% of us, yeah. But if we look at parliament, how many of us are representing? Like probably less than 38%. So we're trying to change that. So she basically encourages anyone who thinks they can have a voice to get involved in politics, which I think is great. So I'll speak more about that later if I have time. Next slide, please. So my lessons for all of you wonderful students is just be resilient, have self-belief, similar to what Benna said. I'm just alluding to what she said. Failure is inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. You just have to make sure you come back harder, stronger, more resilient, happier. Network. I wish I networked earlier when I was your sort of age. But I did a lot of other things, as you know. So I joined netball, debating. I did a lot of stuff. So do that. Make sure you diversify as much as possible, because you can have all the academics in the world, but you just sometimes just need to network, and that can really change your trajectory of your career. And pharmacy isn't just clinical, like explore leadership positions. Like if you have a naval unit, some of you are still in third year, first year, go find out, is there a Navy unit here? Go. You have to do a little interview, explain your passion, go on deployments, look into tech, business, and just advocate and make sure you work with other people. Don't try and keep only the knowledge to yourself. I went to uni where everyone kind of kept themselves together and they didn't really try and explore. And I'm always the one, like, I've got friends in art class, I've got friends who are doing all these law, architecture. I never just had pharmacy friends, and that really did help me. So make sure you focus on that. Next slide, please. I think I'm almost done. Next slide, please, is yeah, so I did have a TikTok page. I don't know if some of you probably know me from social media. I kind of went viral, was on the newspapers, and I deleted everything because my fear of imposter syndrome kind of kicked in, because when I quit my job in London, it was seen as like deplorable. And I want to explore other avenues. So I'm used to public scrutiny. I have been belittled, I've been threatened, I've been sent emails saying, no, as a band 8A pharmacist, we don't expect you to act like this on social media. But you know what? It's just funny that the one thing I was vilified for, I'm being asked to do now, to speak about myself, speak about my experiences, be open about opportunities out there. I'm not saying quit your job, but I'm saying explore other options. And at the time, my finances wouldn't allow me to stay in that job. So you can find me on fab_pharmacist. I don't know why I put the space there. So basically, I want you to network. On Instagram, I'm trying to create a B2B with business with my the lady that runs all these conferences in Geneva, to encourage as many pharmacists or budding pharmacists to come and join me on these conferences. If I can't come, I'll get someone from my team to come. And you always have a conference buddy. It's kind of a daunting going by yourself. So I always find you someone to go with, basically. I just want you to really get into the digitalization of pharmacy and healthcare in general. Healthcare is going to be digitalized in the next couple of years, 10 years. We need to get ahead. You can't ignore it. Just get ahead. Just accept it. It's an innovation that's happening, and it's a great innovation. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to speak more about it. If you just want to talk, get some advice. Next slide, sorry. Have more opportunities. And if you just kind of want to do something more than just be a pharmacist, I think we have tunnel vision, and we need to just really expand ourselves basically, and make sure you connect. Don't be scared to embrace change. You see someone that's a bit different from you, go and find out why they're different from you. Don't just kind of shun them. I've always been a little bit different, and it's been actually my strength, and honestly it's the best thing ever. So next slide is really when I just say that this is a really full circle moment for me, and I'm really grateful to be here, and thank you for having me on here, because I was kind of shy and scared to talk about my experience in pharmacy and sort of the different things I'm doing, because it's just like a lot of people that I work with, it's just like, just pharmacy, I'm a pharmacist, okay, I've done my band-aid, I've done my clinical, I've done my diploma, I've done my independent prescribing, and that is it, I'm just here for my pension. But no, I express how there's so much more to life than just being an amazing pharmacist, and all these other things can add to you being even a better pharmacist and a better communicator. So I was sharing my story, sharing my experience, explaining why I quit my job, and I was really vilified by like the Royal, the Sunday Times, the Metro, very, very, very egregious. But I was on the newspapers, I wasn't expecting it. So Nicole, I think I'm done now. So please find me on LinkedIn, TikTok. TikTok is @fab_pharmacist. I'm trying to get back on social media, so feel free to message me. I'll be happy. If I can't message you personally, I'll get someone else to message you that works with me. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Sharifa. I don't think I've actually connected with you on LinkedIn yet, so I'm gonna do that straight after this webinar. But yes, your wide range of experience is certainly eye-opening, and it was very inspiring to hear your pursuits in like the digitalization of healthcare, into providing training in IT, and then even to the Navy, which I guess was maybe a bit unexpected, and then developing your leadership there. And then it led you to, meeting such influential figures in pharmacy and then advocating for gender equality. So to like emphasize your point, yeah, I think it really shows that networking in pharmacy should not be overshadowed, and that it's just, well, all of these experiences have shown your role in helping shape the landscape of pharmacy. So I think you should be very proud. So thank you for giving us insight into that as well. And with that being said, I would like to move on to our third speaker, Kieran Swain. So just to introduce her very quickly, Kieran has started her journey into pharmacy at the University of Nottingham and did her pre-reg in community pharmacy and industry. She is currently a pharmaceutical industry pharmacist, and she works as a study optimization manager at GSK. So I'm incredibly excited to hear from the perspective of working in the pharmaceutical industry as opposed to the more traditional routes into hospital and a community. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Kieran.
Thank you, Nicole. If you want to flick over to the next slide and go one more if you can. So yes, as Nicole said, I'm going to briefly introduce myself and my journey and go through some inspiration and challenges that I've faced, and then challenges that you might also face entering into the pharmaceutical industry. And lastly, to close with some careers in pharma industry and some advice. So this slide talks to my journey. And I think the font has gone a little bit funny. So Nicole, I can share my screen if that's easier. If you don't mind pausing, I'll stop sharing. So I started with the University of Nottingham back in 2016 now, through to 2020. And during my time at uni, I got involved with lots of societies where I could, community placements that weren't offered. I volunteered in the local hospital, and during the summers, I did a microscopy summer project and a cell and gene technology project in a different summer. And I think getting involved at university at that early stage really helped to shape what direction I wanted to go in after university. And so I would encourage all of you, especially if you're in early careers or even still at university, to get involved with the opportunities that are available to you. Following on from uni, I started my pre-reg, and the first half was with Lloyd's Pharmacy inside a Sainsbury's. It was during COVID. And I thoroughly enjoyed that patient-facing aspect of things. And I think being that it was in the pandemic, being able to go out to work and see people every day during that strange time really, I think, helped me, and probably why I enjoyed it so much, because I got close with a lot of the patients who would come in regularly, mainly elderly people. And that was my network at that time, because I'd moved out of home and was on my own. So it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was worried that I was not going to enjoy community as much as I did. But now on reflection, I really do miss that patient interaction. Following those 6 months, I began at GSK in a team called the Clinical Supply Chain, where I was involved with learning what the end-to-end supply chain looked like, got involved with some QA aspects and market intelligence. With GSK, I also did an audit, supported some data migration activities, and the training of new team members. So it was a very broad, sweeping pre-reg. We covered a lot, and it's very different transferring from community into industry, as one might imagine. And then sat the exam, passed and qualified, and I went straight from my pre-reg into a role with GSK as a clinical trial supply chain study lead. So that was supporting the end-to-end demand and supply planning for various clinical trials. And within that, I also extended my knowledge to advanced study modeling. And that is connected to what I do today, where I'm focused on advanced demand and supply modeling for several clinical trials that have the global reach within the clinical supply chain team. And within these roles, I've also gotten involved with packaging, labeling, distribution, quality audits, and training. So with industry, I always like to describe it as you're almost a global pharmacist, depending on your role. And with me, I feel that that is how I've used my skills and knowledge as a pharmacist applied to the industry focus setting. So that's my journey, and I'm still very much developing and learning in my current role, and I'm really not sure what's going to be next for me, because there's so many opportunities. So on some inspirations and challenges, I find there's a lot of myths about industry, and I like to demystify some of these sometimes. So to start with, it is a pioneering science and new technology. I think that's one of the reaches that industry has, which other sectors might not. And it has a very research and development focus. And that's something that attracted myself to the industry. Within it, it's also a global scale, which is, again, rare for different careers in pharmacy when we think more traditionally about community and hospital and GP. Whereas with industry, depending on the company you're with, you really are working at a global scale. I have colleagues in the US, Japan, Korea, any real country that you can think of. I've probably got a colleague there and have worked with people there. So that has been fantastic, of course. And with that, there is travel opportunities and various learning opportunities. There is really the breadth. And every day truly is different. You are on different projects and you'll be working on different work streams and learning about things that you might not have even considered before entering the roles within industry. So there is that breadth, which I find very much inspiring in my day-to-day. However, on the contrast, there are many challenges. It is a competitive industry to get into. And I think part of that reason is because of the global scale. So you're not just competing with individuals here in the UK. If that's where you're based, you're competing with everybody around the world for certain roles, because many roles aren't specific to one location. Another aspect of the challenge is it is a loss of the patient-facing environment. And that is something I miss as part of community pharmacy in particular, is seeing patients and talking to patients. Where we are in industry is very much a step before the product reaches the patient. So I do miss that environment sometimes. With the global scale and the global nature, you're also working across international time zones, which comes with its own challenges in itself. So sometimes you'll be on very early to catch countries in the East, and other times you'll be on very late to catch countries in the West. And that is a challenge, especially juggling work-life balance. And given I'm in the supply chain, there's always something going on somewhere. And so it is a constant hum of work and things happening that you have to be ready to react to. With the learning opportunities, it is vast. And I think the question earlier alluded to this. How do you balance the time to do almost everything? Because often you want to get involved with everything, and that is really hard. And I found that it has not gotten any easier balancing my time with everything that I would like to do within a day, a year, or a month. It's very challenging. And you have to almost prioritize to decide, okay, this is what I want to do. And everything else might need to wait until I might have done this one thing to then move on to the next. So you do have to be strategic about how you use your time. And lastly, every day is different. So whilst that is often a good thing, if you struggle with no set routine, that can be quite hard because one week looks very different to the next. So it's harder to plan for regular things to happen. And with flexible working, it's got its benefits and its challenges. So I'll be in the office at minimum 2 to 3 days a week. Working from home is lovely as well because you don't have that commute time necessarily. But also it makes it difficult to plan because next week I don't know which days I'll be in the office and which days I won't. It's not decided yet. So that can be a challenge in itself. So this is my balanced view of the industry that I do like to share. However, there is a vast scope of careers in the pharmaceutical industry. And if you've heard me speak or seen me at BPSA before, you might have seen this slide already. It's one that I like to reuse because it hasn't really gotten old yet. Within the pharmaceutical industry, you will find pharmacists at all nodes across the business, from drug discovery in the early phase, all the way through to the marketing of the product after it's been approved. And within each zone of the product journey, there is ample opportunity for pharmacists to get involved. I think there is a myth that pharmacists are employed in industry as pharmacists, which is totally untrue. I myself started as a supply chain function, and I'm now doing computational data science. So it really can be anywhere across the business. It's more focused on how you're applying your skills as a pharmacist in the section of the corporate function that you're working in. So do feel free to take a screenshot of this page. It's one I encourage you to look at. And if you just need a place to start to get inspired, because it can be quite daunting looking at careers pages on pharmaceutical industry websites. There is a lot, and knowing where to start is sometimes difficult. So I would encourage you to reflect on which aspect of the drug, medicine to patient cycle are you interested in, and potentially go from there to begin to figure out where in the pharmaceutical industry you could see yourself. And then lastly, I'd like to cover where you can learn more, because I know how challenging getting into industry is. I've done it myself, and I've supported people to get into the industry, which is never an easy task. So to start with, where you can learn more, there is obviously job postings, company websites, LinkedIn, through recruiters. It's great you're attending today as part of the BPSA, and I've heard already there's IPSF people here as well. Through social media, that's been heavily discussed, and networking events as well. I always encourage going to conferences to meet new people and expand your network. But as a starting place, read your emails, because your universities will be doing things to help you. And if you're not reading your emails, you could very easily miss an opportunity. When I was at university, 2 of the placements I did just came through the emails, and only 2 people applied, myself and 1 other. So we both got a place. And it was as simple as that. So it doesn't always have to be challenging to break in to get experience. There are many routes into industry as well. So whilst I did the pre-reg route, there are a whole host of other options. So with summer placements and graduate programs, I've seen many pharmacists enter the industry through direct entry roles. So they'll just apply directly after qualifying. There's the PhD and postdoc programs, and also contract working, which I think is very overlooked. Connect with people on LinkedIn that work with contracting organizations, because often they are the gatekeeper to roles within the pharmaceutical industry. There's also hospital clinical trial departments and GP clinics that often work with industry in parallel, and that can be a great place to start. And the other thing I would advise, which is not on screen, is if you're finding it challenging to break into some of the larger industry companies, aim for some companies that are a little smaller, because the pool of competition is going to be less with a smaller company. So start small and work your way up as well. It's something that I would advise. And then lastly, persevere. Keep yourself open to broad opportunities. I think we've heard that from our speakers, both of them before me, to get involved with what you have around you. And on industry specifically, reflect on why it might appeal to you. So what do you hope to learn? What do you hope to gain from an industry experience? What do you want to do long term? Is it working at a global scale or a local scale? Do you prefer working in large teams of people or smaller teams, or even as an individual contributor? Are you leaning towards more leading and doing things yourself and championing for others, or do you lean towards a more teamwork approach? So reflect on your own personal skills and preferences to help demystify and understand what you might like to do in your future careers. And also keep asking questions and learning new skills. No experience is bad experience. It will help you close doors as well as open them. And I found the advice also shared earlier of it's okay if you don't like something, because then you can cross that one off the list and move on to the next thing, is brilliant advice, because there is so much out there. So keep getting involved, and I hope you have plenty of questions for me, because I much prefer questions than presenting. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for sharing what it was like for you in your pre-reg year for working in both community and industry, as I think you are the first and only speaker to be talking about the pharma industry today. So it was really interesting to see all the different pathways there are in pharma, especially because I'm a first-year student, so everything's sort of new to me as well. So that was really interesting. So your experience and insight will be very valuable for those who are considering working in the industry in the future. So thank you for coming once again and speaking to us and giving us such solid advice. So now I'd like to hand it to our last but not least, our fourth and final speaker, Alia Turk. Once again, I'll introduce this last speaker. She began her journey with the BPSA in 2009, where she was awarded the Reckitt Benckiser Student of the Year Award. Alia later then joined the BPSA executive team as a graduate officer. After qualifying, she worked in 8 different hospitals spanning across primary, secondary, and tertiary care, and now she works in the government sector, serving as the Chief Pharmaceutical Officer's Clinical Fellow. And that all sounds really exciting and interesting, so without further ado, I'll pass it on to you, Aaliyah.
Okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, that was a smashing introduction, Nicole. I think what we'll do now is we'll just take a few questions whilst we wait for Alia to join onto the Zoom call. You guys, all the attendees have done a smashing job so far at putting in their questions. So we'll do that for a little bit and wait for Alia to join the call for our 4th and final speaker. But wow, this webinar has been going so well. And also, guys, what an amazing job Nicole is doing. If for those of you who didn't know, Nicole is part of my subcommittee, and she's just done an amazing job at kind of introducing speakers and just keeping the flow of the webinar thus far. So just a little pause just to say, well done, Nicole. You've done so well. Okay. So right up to the top and start with the questions that were for Sharifa. So we've got a question from Hiva, who was our last year's EPSA officer. Hi, Hiva. So her question to you, Sharifa, is, as someone who loves public speaking and traveling and wants to incorporate both into a future career, she's asking how she finds the relevant opportunities that will enable the hobbies that she has. And then also, what advice would you give for taking the first steps into global networking?
Okay, so that's really good question. Sorry. Sorry if I interrupted you. It's a really good question. So public speaking fell into my lap, didn't really go for it. I was just opportune to go as a guest to this international conference. Don't be afraid to go to conferences alone. So if you follow me on fab_pharmacist on Instagram especially, I'll be posting all these different international conferences that I was able to find out about by attending the conference in Geneva. So I've made acquaintances with a few people who attend crazy conferences in Dubai, health tech conferences, where they're building like robots that like do examinations, or like apps that you can literally just take a picture of yourself and then it'll tell you what your ailment is, and then you just confirm with a doctor. So that's what I'm trying to do, that I'm trying to push out the narrative of different types of conferences out there. So my sort of job that I've made myself a job is just putting out information out there. So that's what I'll be doing. Just look out on my page, speak to me directly if I'm not posting enough, because I do struggle with social media now that I've got a more sort of senior role. It's just a lot. So I am getting a PA to help me just to really put information out there. But information's power. So just that's the best way of doing it. You can also, if you're interested in women's health, there's a company called PMNCH. If you speak to me directly, I'll send you all the links. They give you other alternative sort of conferences and stuff. And in terms of public speaking, I did Lambda at school. So maybe if you can get involved, I know someone who does a lot of public speaking and he's trying to find me a coach at the moment. So I can then connect you. It's all just about communication and just talking. So just speak to me, exactly what you want. Then when I find information, I'll give. I don't have all the answers, unfortunately, not yet, but I'm happy when I get them to give them to you. Oh, did you mention about traveling as well? I'm an avid traveler, by the way. So I would literally employ you to locum. So locum, everyone thinks it's like very you can't progress in your career. That's not true. I progressed really well in my career, but try and locum in hospitals. So you do like 6 months and take like a month off, and it doesn't affect your contract, then come back. That's kind of how I have managed my time. I have had instances where I go to work and people are like, I didn't even know that you work, Sharifa. I thought all you do is travel. Yeah. So I have that name around me. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I make anything bad work for me. So locuming, I would employ you to do that. I think it's really hard. Now that I've got a full-time role, it's definitely not harder, but I achieved all I want to achieve before. So I didn't choose this. So I delayed a full-time role because I knew that I wanted to explore and travel. Hope that helps.
No, thank you so much for that, Sharifa. it's nice to like get an insight into how you're able to balance the multiple things that you're kind of doing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
So I think I'm gonna mix it up a little bit just so that when we do get to the panel, there's still some questions for everyone. So I'm gonna go to one right at the end, which was for Kiran. So this is from Maheen, and they're asking, how did you end up getting involved in summer research projects? They said that they're not having very much luck when it comes to opportunities on the in industry, but they would like to get into industry. So I guess it's just whether you've heard of any opportunities and what more can be done by us as pharmacy students to put us in those spaces where we are hearing about the information.
Yeah, I can completely relate to this. During my time at university, I found it incredibly difficult to secure any summer placements within industry itself. So my first piece of advice is start with smaller companies because there is less competition. Look at what is local around you. So definitely start there. Then within your university, you will have lecturers that talk about pharmaceutics, chemistry, pharmacology. And all of those lecturers have a focus probably with some PhD students. So you can ask those lecturers, hey, can you connect me with your PhD student? Maybe I can shadow them for a week in the summer to see what they're up to. What are you researching right now? What is your university researching right now? And begin to have some of those conversations. And I would advise, go to the lecturers that you enjoy listening to their talks, because you're going to have more desire and encouragement and inspiration to focus on those areas. So I would begin there just to learn about, okay, what are their PhD students doing? Can I shadow in their labs for a week or so? Is there opportunity to spend a summer within the lab on a stipend? So it's paid. If not paid, can you do it unpaid? Not ideal, but it gets you a little bit of experience. So that's really where I would begin. So connect with your university network, because they will be doing this type of research within the labs that are there already. It's getting yourself in that door to observe, get involved, run your own experiment, upskill. And those skills that you'll gain and that exposure into that either lab area, clinical function, whatever research they're doing, the latest technologies the university have purchased in, will bring you up to the forefront of research and development that is present. And that's going to build your transferable skills that you can apply then into the industry. It's certainly helped me on my journey. And I think I would encourage you to take that approach, because your university lecturers, I know for certain, are available to you. Shoot them an email. Most of them are really excited about their own research. So ask them what they're doing. I think you'll also have postdocs at uni, which will also be very passionate about what they're doing, because they've dedicated probably a huge portion of their career in learning about whatever that specific little function is. So ask questions, be curious, because that network is there to support you. I hope that helps.
No, that was really good. That was really, really good. I think as someone who's kind of very interested in dabbling in industry as well, it's never crossed my mind that, you know, we can utilize the connections that we have in our own backyard to kind of dip our toe into it. So I think having you here and breaking it down as to, you know, what, just like something as simple as sending one of your lecturers an email, just to get that whole process rolling, it was really good. So thank you.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome. I try and give tangible advice. advice that is easily actionable. Because I remember back when I was there, people would be, oh, just do whatever, and it's not helpful. So I'll try to give at least actionable things that students can do within their ability. Because I do know how hard it is.
No, thank you so much. So we'll take another question. So let's go to this. Oh, this one's a good one. This one's a good one because when I heard it, my ears perked up a little bit as well. So this is for Sharifa, and I actually want to, after Sharifa has answered it, opening up to the other panelists and get your insights on this one as well. So the question is, how do you deal with criticism or other people not understanding or kind of judging the roles and opportunities that you guys have kind of pursued that seem kind of uncommon or unconventional? I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, I'd have to be PC about this, right? It's hard. You have to make sure that you have a good, solid community around you, albeit friends, church, mosque. Write everything down, make sure you have a recording of everything that you've experienced. I've definitely faced this. I faced this as a pre-reg. As I said, I'm from a small town. I'm from a small beach town, Brighton. Big up Brighton. Going to East London, I faced more criticism than I could ever experience. Obviously, coming from community, I did a split community hospital. So there's already that sort of competition, not competition, but where hospital pharmacists look down on community. But I didn't understand it because we're all one, we're all pharmacists, we all take the same exam. I was like, am I taking a separate exam? I was so confused. I was like, I want to know if there's an easier exam, I'll take it. If I'm a community, I'll do it. So it was from that. So I think there's this unnecessarily aloofness about different aspects of pharmacy. So it was really hard navigating as a small, I was 21 years old, it's not a child, but you just started, obviously, pharmacy. I had the most, I would say he's a blessing now, but sort of the most difficult tutor ever. And my father said, this pain, you have to go through it, and it's going to teach you a lot, because he was just one of many people that you're going to face in the NHS. And I feel like NHS is kind of built for you to all just have this sort of narrow mindset. And I'm a daredevil, I'm adventurous. I always want more out of life. I want the best out of life. People don't like that. So you're going to face scrutiny if you have that. So you just have to be resilient. The pain, everything you're going through, it's going to be worth it. As I said, you need to be strategic, writing everything down, logging, be part of a union, be part of a good support system. And you are going to feel alone. I've definitely felt alone on many occasions with this. I'm even going through something quite similar quite recently in my career, but because of everything, all the stifles I've been through, when I hear my colleagues and they've been through so much, I'm like, this is just the beginning. There's going to be more. So accept it. It's part of the NHS. The NHS isn't really ready for, I think, the new generation. You guys are called Gen Zs, I think. You guys, I think, outside the box. You guys are amazing. I have so many friends who I have friends of all different ages, and I learned so much from the younger guys. Like, you guys have really put me on to like a lot of trends, opportunities. So I really feel like it's going to be tough for Gen Z, 100%. The NHS isn't ready for you, but as you know, the NHS is dismantling anyway. So I feel like you have to be the change you want to see. So go out there, be confident. It's scary, you'll feel alone, but the other people, trust me, that are just like you. So that's why I kind of resorted to social media, and I was speaking about my experiences, and I just went viral and I'm not a social media girl, in 2 seconds. So I was like, wow, a lot of people are having the same experience as me. And I don't think NHS like that. I just don't think social media like that. So I don't know what's the right answer. I don't even know if I'm giving you the right answer, but all I'm saying is that it's undoubtedly going to happen, and just have to sort of persevere. Like, I've gone through it, I'm still going through it. It's going to always happen. When you're in a system like this, it's going to happen. So best thing to do is start looking into owning your own business, moving out, looking at opportunities outside. I've got a few friends that have left the UK, now working in America, loving it. America's a bit more of an expressive country. I think you kind of get where I'm getting at.
That was so good. Like, honestly, I would first, everything you're saying, and even when you did your talk, I was like, wow, this is so incredible. But I would say, like, if you're on this conference even today, it probably shows that you're someone that doesn't like follow the cookie cutter, And again, I don't want to belittle it and say just being a pharmacist, because that is actually a really tough accomplishment. And you guys are like in for an amazing career, but you are also so much more than that. And I don't think that, I think it's such a shame. What I found is something that Sherry Fatt mentioned earlier is we're quite small like people in pharmacy are very small thinkers, but we actually possess the only degree that has so many skill sets that other degrees don't have. So I didn't mention this, but I remember I was thinking, oh, do I want to go into corporate law? So I was going into open days, which you have to do these crazy applications for. So like I got onto one and I was so excited. And they were just so interested. They were more interested in speaking to someone from a STEM background, especially pharmacy, rather than someone that had studied law. And it's because we can communicate, it's because we're clinical, so we understand like minute details. It's because we've done a 4-year master's degree where you're working with different disciplines, and you don't get that in a business degree. And that's not to slate again other degrees, but I will say like you're doing a very good degree that actually sets a really good foundation for you to do other things. I just think the thing that I found that was missing was the mindset. We don't have the mindset to like push and do more, but you can create that for yourself. Like Sharifat said, it's who you surround yourself with. And you can definitely either be someone that regrets not using most of the opportunities, or someone that goes for it. And I don't know, maybe one day you'll share your own story and that will be really inspiring for someone else. But yeah, you have to go for it. Or you will just end up being bored. You'll also meet pharmacists that say, I'm so bored, I'm so burnt out, I hate my job, you know, da da da. You can be someone like that if you don't take action and follow kind of like, you can have desires in your heart, right? So I think go for them. Surround yourselves with like other big thinkers, even if they're not pharmacists. And again, I keep saying Sharifat, but honestly, when you were saying before, I was like literally saying, like a lot of my friends actually were from other disciplines, whether that was economics, business. I went to Bath, so it was mainly STEM anyway, but they were all doing these really cool, architecture as well. So doing really cool placement. My best friend's are architects.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, literally, there are people setting up businesses, and you think,
Yeah.
oh my God, like they're not even that qualified, but they're doing amazing because they're
Yeah.
doing it. And that's the key part. So just be a doer. Don't be someone that just kind of complains, because you'll just end up being more dissatisfied. And it's not going to be easy. You'll fail at lots of things that might get you to just, you know, give up. Even me, that's why my main kind of focus was failure, because that sucks. But I know that like I'm also a success because I'm doing all these things, and like I'll continue to do things, and eventually something will click. But if you don't kind of give yourself the chance to even like get in the game and just start, then you know you might risk, I guess, not even having a taste of that success in any other thing. So don't care what they say. Like they're secretly inspired. I promise you. When that thing clicks, they're going to be like, how you're all asking, like, how do I get onto the conferences? I'm even messaging like, how do I go to a conference? Because good people are inspired and they're excited for you. People that unfortunately maybe don't have that same mindset, it's probably from a place of jealousy. So you really just have to block the noise out and just honestly go for it. Like, please go for it and enjoy it. And if you ask that question, I don't know who you are, but like, we want to hear your story and how you, you know, eventually did amazing things, because you will do that if you push yourself. Yeah.
I agree with everything Avena said. I think we're really sort of we have the same mindset. And I actually love it for us.
Definitely. Sorry, I spoke on and on, but I'm so passionate about it, because when you see what other people are doing, and again, the bit that blows my mind is not that they're not unqualified, but like you don't, it's not how much you know. And you guys are all very intelligent. To be on this degree, to even get to the point where you'll graduate and do your pre-reg, like you are intelligent, you got the grades at school, like no one's doubting that. But then, okay, why are some people like seemingly living their best life and just following their path? Because they're just doing stuff, and even when they fail, they're just learning along the way. So like use your clinical, your academics, and also your passion to do XYZ, and to go to conferences and network and communicate and like show off the amazing skills that you've literally spent 4 years building up. Like it's very unique skill set, I think. Yeah, I'll shut up now. I'm done.
No, I love your passion. I'm the same. Another question?
Yeah, no.
Ben, I like how we're both wearing red, by the way.
Say that again, sorry.
I like how Ben and I both are wearing red, similar mindset.
Gosh, what does this mean? Similar mindset. Like this is the thing. Like-minded people.
You know?
No, that was a really good answer. Thank you so much. I think both of you kind of answered it well, and went into depths as to, because I think it is hard sometimes, especially like you said, Abuna, with all of us joining the webinar and already trying to think about how to really like rinse out our pharmacy degree and use it to the max. I think sometimes when you are talking to those people who are just like, I just want to finish university and, you know, which is fine, but I think sometimes you do get the occasional side eye for being like, oh, well, I would kind of like to do this, or it would be really fun to do this. So thank you so much for just like letting us know that, you know, it's fine to, you know, think outside the box and you try out different things and see what sticks and what doesn't. But I just wanted to ask before I move on to the next question, whether you, Kieran, had anything to add on to what Abuna shared.
Yeah, I think for me is you're at university, so you have the most time to get involved and do and follow your interests. It's okay to step away from the path that's taken, as it were, because I can guarantee you after you graduate, you will not see most of those people ever again. Like you move on with your lives, and that is totally normal. It's okay. But I would rather you did what you were interested in when you had the chance than look back and regret not getting involved because you're worried what, you know, the people on your course would think or your housemates would think. It's not worth that. Get involved whilst you have the time and the passion.
No, honestly, thank you so much for that. I feel like I'm being personally spoken to here, guys. I don't know about the rest of the exec, but I'm gonna watch back this webinar. We're currently recording. I'm gonna watch it back and be taking my notes, because right now I'm a bit like I'm having an out of body experience right now, I'll be honest. Okay, so our next question, I know the exec, like the group chat right now, we're all just like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So I want to just ask Samiha if you had any questions for the panel before I then go back. I want to like mix it up a little bit. I want to give you guys a chance to ask away.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to hear from each and every one of you in terms of if there was only one piece of advice that you could leave all the students with today, what would that be?
Can I start? My advice would be get involved, be curious, and keep learning. 3 things.
Mine would be, I think I said it before, rejection is redirection. So try as many things as possible. And if it's not working out, okay, it's redirection for another thing. I started a hair business about 6 years ago, well, when I was a pre-reg, so 7 years ago. Didn't really work out. I restarted it now, redirected to other things. So always just be ready for redirection. Nothing's ever a rejection. It's just a lesson.
Oh, those were such good ones. I'm trying to think of something because I think honestly, like those are very good principles to live by. And if you do, then I'm sure you'll do like really well. But I guess I would say, and I guess I've kind of mentioned it already, but surround yourself with other big dreamers. The reason that you guys are asking, like, oh, you know, what if they say X, Y, Z? It's because you're even kind of in the space where they're able to let their voices get into your head. If like that, Erica, you're like, oh my gosh, this speaks to me. Okay, great. Like if you have people on this platform where it speaks to, no one's going to think it's weird because you're all thinking the same thing. In fact, you're going to help each other. And that's really, and like you're going to be so excited, like, oh, what's this person doing? You know, like sharing ideas, giving each other opportunities. And that's like for International Women's Day, like we should be doing that. And that's normal. That's actually normal. People that think it's like weird or even use language like, oh, it's a bit off. It's like, what? We're not in the 1950s. Like as women, we've come so far. We have so many options. The world is your actual oyster. Like you guys are so, and the thing is, we're talking to a very clever group. This is why I'm like, there's so much potential. Like you guys are smart as hell, and like you're beautiful, and you have so many talents and like gifts and stuff. Like the world actually needs people to step out like yourself to do what you're thinking of. And Erica said something, and I was thinking, do you know what? Like definitely not everyone has these desires. So actually, I guess it is weird if you have these desires, because for me, I'm a Christian. I believe that they're placed in your heart for a reason. Not everyone actually sees the world the way that you do. And so to them, it maybe is a little bit weird, but like when you start speaking to more people, you'll realize that actually everyone has quite a specific vision of how they see themselves, and you have that vision for a reason. And so it's really important to honor yourself and not focus on other people. So yeah, surround yourself with good people, with people that also have visions, even if those visions look different, you know that, you know, they kind of get the mindset of like where they're trying to get to. And I think as pharmacists, again, that kind of competitive nature with like getting grades that are good, turn that into like competitiveness for yourself, like you against you kind of thing. This is not a self-help podcast. You can tell that like clearly we've been down that route, but like it's so important to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, and what you're doing then becomes completely normal and it pushes you to like do more. So yeah, that's all I'll say as my main piece of advice.
I just
Thank
like to
you so
allude
much.
Sorry, I like to allude to what Abena said. I think women, we generally have that competitive spirit, and I realized that the most powerful impact I've had is collaboration with other women. Literally, girls compete, women literally collaborate and just putting each other on like pedestals. There you go.
I just want to say as well, I don't know, I was saying this to the other exec members. I know this is a webinar, but it's felt like I'm on FaceTime with each of you individually. I've loved it so much. And thank you guys so much as well for the advice. I'm genuinely like gonna leave this webinar just like, wow, I feel so inspired. I feel like I can literally take over the world. So yeah, thank you.
No, thank you so much, Samiha. I'm gonna go back to the chat because I've seen it. Then I'll go like back to exec. Sorry, exec. I'll get to you guys in a bit. But my next, let me just note that. Okay, so this is one that could be. This is for Kiran specifically. And I think you kind of touched upon this, but I think it would be good for us to kind of have some specific examples, so this question is, what are some skills that are particularly valuable in your role, and how can students start developing them now?
I think Abena partly covered this. You are already learning the skills as with your degree. So you're doing communication because you're talking to your peers on your placements, you're talking to patients, you're talking to your lecturers. So there's 3 different levels of knowledge of people that you're talking to. So that's building your communication skills. Teamwork, of course you have teamwork. You're working with your peers on projects. I know we had loads of projects at uni that you had to do in collaboration with others. So you're building that team working skills. Time management, you will be doing balancing the lectures, work, social life, exercise, cooking for yourself. All that time management skill is building that skill that you can apply into the workplace. So you are actively doing this now already. It's how you transfer that skill and apply it into this setting in industry. I think those are the 3 that I would herald the most important. And then we can go deeper into things like project management to get more specific. Data skills are also really important. I use Excel on a daily basis. If you're good with Excel, you'll be great in industry. So building your data skills, data knowledge. I think now with AI booming, start your skills in that space as well, because that is the trend where industry is moving more to the AI ML space. So if you can start upskilling in those areas, you use those tools that you have because it's available to you and that's going to help you long term. So I think those are the ones I would focus on. If you have a specific role and you need help in distinguishing the skills that is being looked for, look at the job description. It will have probably a bullet pointed list, of the things that it's looking for. Pull out the key skills from that role job spec and reflect on how what you're already doing is helping to achieve that and what you could be doing more to develop those skills. And that's where I would go for next steps. If you're interested in industry or any role, really, you could apply this for.
No, thank you so much. So on that note, wow, this is a good mini Q&A session. We have Aaliyah here. I'm gonna hand over back to Nicole to do her amazing introductions that she's been doing thus far. Thank you so much for joining us, Aaliyah. I know you've just come from another event, so we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you.
I'll just quickly repeat the introduction. So to introduce our fourth and final speaker, Alia Turk. Alia began her journey with the BPSA as well in 2009, where she was awarded the Reckitt Benckiser Student of the Year Award. And then she later did join the BPSA again, but on the executive team as a graduate officer. After qualifying, Alia worked in 8 different hospitals spanning across primary, secondary, and tertiary care, and now she works in the government sector, serving as the Chief Pharmaceutical Officer's Clinical Fellow. So, yeah, please take it away.
Hello there. Thank you for having me today. My name is Alia Turk, and can I just confirm you can all hear me okay? Sorry, I've just come out of another presentation. So thank you for having me today. My name is Alia Turk. I'm one of the current clinical Chief Pharmaceuticals Officers Clinical Fellow. So that's David Webb's Fellow. I'm hosted by the UK Health Security Agency, which is an executive agency of the Department of Health and Social Care, and as a government body. So therefore, this year I'm working as a civil servant. So it's really interesting being in BPSA. I am very warm towards BPSA because 15 years ago, I myself was an integral member of BPSA, and I thoroughly recommend working with the BPSA. It's a great organization. It's really helped shape my career, and in terms of what I've achieved, how it's broadened my horizons, how it's allowed me to think outside of the box and think wider than pharmacy and think wider than the current spaces, and give me the courage to step out of my comfort zone. So BPSA was very, very key in shaping that. So yes, when I was a student, I was a third-year student, and I applied and I interviewed for the Student of the Year award, and I was fortunate enough to actually win the Student of the Year award. So that was brilliant, and that was like I'm sure most of you were probably twinkles in your dad's eyes, but I was I was just winning this award, and it was great. And because of that award, I then went to Indonesia in Bali, and I worked with the International Students Federation, who also work with World Health Organization and United Nations, and we did lots of projects together. And I represented the UK, came back, wrote an article for the BPSA, and then I carried on with BPSA and IPSF. And then during that time, I also worked on a humanitarian project where I set up a mobile pharmacy in Uganda, helping to serve public health needs of the populations there. Really good opportunity, really rewarding to do this, especially as a student when I haven't even registered as a pharmacist yet. So this was the kind of opportunities bestowed upon me. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then I graduated the following year, but however, I still stayed with IPSF. And during the same year as my graduation, I set up a patient counseling event in Slovenia, Korea, and I personally went out to Jordan in Amman to sort of deliver this counseling event and support their conference. Again, there's me graduated. Really, really high, really nice time as a student. That then moved me on to the next slide, which is where I became a pre-registration pharmacist, and I did my pre-reg in a hospital. Again, working with BPSA, the exec always supported me, and we always had that good, strong connection of friends. And basically, yes, I did my pre-reg in hospital successfully, applied for various jobs. I must say I wasn't always successful in my interviews. So I did have some broad pushbacks, but again, kept on trying. And despite being headhunted by multiple companies and organizations and even pharmaceutical companies at the time, I still had the interviews I really wanted. Some of them, again, I wasn't successful. So I'm only human. Next slide, please. So then I actually managed to secure a Band 6 training position at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. A tertiary centre, huge centre, allowed me to work alongside doing my clinical rotations. It allowed me to work in Ministry of Defence wards, and that's when I made really good contacts with sort of different personnels that are placed in the army and different pharmacists there. So I started to make my networking connections then, and it was really good opportunity for me. And I would thoroughly suggest, if you get an opportunity to shadow or even go in have a look or have an insight day into these kind of areas, I would thoroughly suggest it, because if you can make networks and connections, that's really good. In the future, the same connection today, 15 years later, I'm just working with him on another project. So that's amazing. And it's great because we were able to sort of rekindle our sort of connection again. At the same time, as a junior newly qualified pharmacist, I wanted to give back. So then I joined the BPSA executive board, and I was supporting the pre-registration pharmacists at the time, but I think now they're called foundation trainees. They're called your foundation trainees now, and they're supporting them because it's a very tough year, and I had just been through that. And I wanted to sort of give back and really sort of work with, at that time, again, it was called GPHC, but the PDA, and make sure that, you know, our students are supported, and, you know, they have all the they have all the tools and equipment to feel confident for that exam, and also feel confident as future pharmacists. Next slide, please. So I then, after that, after I did my Band 6 training on various medical wards, surgical wards, I also became a mental health specialist pharmacist, and then a kidney transplant specialist pharmacist. Again, working on very specialist centres, and really grateful for these opportunities. Made some really tough decisions, running around, doing on calls and everything, but it's a steep learning curve. I took it at the time. And it helped me sort of also understand that as a pharmacist, sometimes it's important to ask for help and not always guess, especially when when you're making major decisions and you've got patients' lives in your hands. Always ask for help. There's no shame in that. If you don't know something, you don't know something. Just be honest about that. People value you more when you have to ask for help, and you're honest about what you don't know. So next slide, please. So I got married and I had to relocate to an area called Lincoln. And over here, I was faced with different demographics of patients and people. And it wasn't as diverse as Birmingham and Leicester, where I'm predominantly from. It was very, very rural and remote England. So next slide, please. This is just an overview of the various sort of diversity that you can envisage as a mental health pharmacist. In Lincoln, I continued to be a mental health pharmacist, and basically, this just shows you the array of roles that you can do, from being an integral member of that MDT to basically writing policies, to doing the different types of roles such as clozapine pharmacist, older adults pharmacists, and working in rehabilitation wards. Next slide, please. And then I joined an organization called BIMA, which is a British Islamic Medical Association. And through this organization, again, I did some national work where we did a lot of, we affirmed a lot of guidelines, national guidelines for Ramadan and medicines optimization. So I was part of that. So it reminded me of BPSA, actually. That's why I joined it. I did some strategic work. Sorry, next slide, please. I did some strategic work, represented at various committees. So that's when I became an area prescribing committee professional secretary and a formulary pharmacist. And that's where I basically decided you decide what's on the formulary, and you basically integrate medications onto the system-wide medication sort of decisions and all of that. So you integrate medications into the system. Again, really politically driven board meetings I used to have. But however, because of my exposure to BPSA as well, when I was, during my time, I was kind of used to working at board level and how to sort of navigate conversations and how to chair them and how to sort of host events and drive enablers and discuss challenges. So I think as somebody quite young stepping into this role, I felt confident because of that reason. But again, these are very politically charged sort of arenas, and it was a steep learning curve for me. But at the same time, I learned a lot of like negotiation, communication, pragmatism. But most of all, I understood that everybody just wants respect, no matter what level they're at. As long as you show them respect, you will go far, and that's how you can sort of get your projects moving, get your agendas moving, and basically work collaboratively with whoever you have to work with, whether it's a consultant doctor or a senior pharmacist or somebody quite junior. So that's something I also learned at all levels. So next slide, please. So my bread and butter for the last sort of 9 to 10 years has been, I've been working as an interface pharmacist and specializing in high-cost drugs and home care services. High-cost drugs basically means the drugs like your monoclonal antibodies, the biological therapies, the last drugs at the end of the algorithm of that pathway, and they're the most expensive. A lot of my job involves me justifying the spend to commissioners like NHS England and your local ICBs, who will say, why are you spending so much million a year, of which I then have to justify to say that actually, what is the clinical behavior? Why are there so many patients? And basically make sure that these drugs that are being used within the governance that has been set up for them. So that was a lot of the sort of conversations I used to have for the last 9 years. I set up a prior approval system whereby you justify the NICE guidance. And through this, I also became a NICE affiliate. So I was working with NICE. Rolled out a form called Blue Tech, where and I changed the culture in a hospital where the doctors did complete this form and they took accountability for the drugs that they prescribed. And therefore, I was able to justify expenditure of really, really expensive medications. And through this, I specialized in gastroenterology, rheumatology, dermatology, neurology, and endocrine. So again, there's lots of layers to this. And there's a strategic layer, but there's also a clinical layer as well. So next slide, please. So yeah, this is just a quick slide to say that I did a bit of work just before my mat leave and just after my mat leave as well. Completed my independent prescribing, worked in primary care for a bit, worked as 111 advisor as well. So just try to diversify my experiences in my career, because I'm quite inquisitive as a pharmacist. So I'm always trying to look at what you can do next and how would I enjoy this job, would I enjoy that job. So I kind of did that on a part-time basis during weekends and during my evenings and things like that. Next slide, please. And then again, this is just a slide to say that I then embarked upon project management courses, and that really helped me confidently drive projects forward. When you're at high level in hospital, you have to write a lot of policies and you have to do a lot of stakeholder work and get a lot of people involved to drive policies forward. So basically writing them and everything was really, really really important for me. So when I did this project management course, it helped me have the right tools and understand how you can write them better. The next slide, please. So right now, up until date, so I've been a pharmacist for nearly, I would say, 14 years. I've got an array of skills. I've worked in about a total of 9 different organizations, various different hospitals, and so many ICBs. I've worked with NICE. I've worked with various organizations again. But this year, I was selected a very competitive program again as a Chief Pharmaceutical Officer's Fellow, where I'm working against the most senior professional in pharmacy, Mr. David Webb, and he is basically mentoring us on how to be an effective leader in pharmacy. I am hosted by UK Health Security Agency, so therefore I'm working for the government also, and making decisions around pandemic preparedness, so doing some really interesting projects. I work routinely with World Health Organization because we host World Health Organization, and I still have my BPSA sort of hat on, so I can't join the BPSA right now because I'm not a student, but however, I do join the Federation of International Pharmacists, and I'm doing a a lot of work for them. In fact, this morning, I spent a lot of my morning reviewing their abstracts for their submissions for the upcoming Congress in Copenhagen. And it's great. It's great. I love the whole atmosphere. I'm doing that during my fellowship as well. One of the things I do during the fellowship is that, we're learning about power, and we are learning about influence and leadership. And one of the places that we go to is Palace of Westminster. I'm very active in affirming the assisted dying bill at the moment and making sure the pharmacy safeguards are being taken into consideration. And so at government level, we're having this kind of impact. So as a pharmacist, actually the opportunities are there. And for me personally, a lot of these opportunities I never knew were there when I first started as a pharmacist. If you had told me 15 years ago you'll be doing this, I wouldn't have believed anybody. But it's all about just having an open mind and just being open to various sort of channels and opportunities that are there, and understanding that you yourself, you have the skills and you have the knowledge and you have the background to be able to apply it anywhere you go. Next slide, please. So my key takeaways for this presentation really is that, your career actually is a very, very long time. And some of your best sort of jobs, they probably don't even exist yet. So what I would, just continue sort of hustling and continue sort of learning and have an open mind, because I guarantee you your dream job at the moment, it probably doesn't exist anywhere, but but by the time you are ready and you've got the right skills, something will open up. And there will be some time, there will be a period of time whereby some decades, and I'm talking 10 years, feels as if nothing's happened, nothing's moving, everything's the same. And then there'll be that 1 year where everything in a decade can happen. So honestly, just trust that process. And in terms of leadership, what I would say is that every experience is so enriching. You're not always going to have the most inspirational leader or the kindest leader. You will sometimes come across bad leadership. And that's fine, because actually some of the best leaders have been shaped by experiencing bad leadership. So it's fine as long as you're able to reflect on that and understand how that's shaped and developed you, and you're able to confidently, portray that. That's all that matters. And always be inquisitive, always be open to ideas, always look at different opportunities. The opportunities which are so bizarre are the ones that end up being so life-changing. So, and lastly, always ask for help. I've not got anywhere without asking for help. So there's no shame in that. Ask, like I said, if you see somebody at a conference or anything, just go up to them, introduce yourself and say, look, do you mind? I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. Do you mind helping me? The worst they will say is no. That's fine. You move on. So those are my key takeaways. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Hopefully this has been of use. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Aliyah, for sharing such a different perspective with us today. It was really interesting to hear about your experience in all sections and levels in the NHS and the different specializations, as well as working with as a civil servant, which is something that's completely new to me. So yeah, once again, I'd just like to thank you for speaking and for your advice tonight. And I will just hand this back to Erica to wrap things up with the Q&A.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Aliyah. I think my favorite bit from your talk was the bit that you talked about embracing the quiet periods as well, because I think sometimes it's easy to kind of get yourself into that mindset of oh, I should be doing this, and why isn't this happening, and why isn't this happening? But I think the good periods, the quiet periods also give us the chance to kind of reflect and give us the time to prepare for what's coming on later down the line. So thank you so much. That was amazing. So I am cautious of the fact that we do have officially 10 minutes left of this webinar. But we still have a few questions to work through. So I just wanted, before we kind of get into it, I wanted to just check in with the panelists to see whether you're able to stay on for an extra 5 minutes, just to answer some more questions. Obviously, if you have to dip out, that is completely fine. We are so grateful already for the insight that you've given to us. But I just wanted to check to see if that was okay with you all before I kind of started with this. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm really inspired right now.
Okay with you as well?
It's fine with me. Fine with me. I'm happy to stay.
Amazing. Let's get started. Okay, so I'll go to the top because this person has been waiting patiently for their question to be answered. So this is from Inas Kasim, and they are asking this question to Sharifa, and it was, how can an aspiring hospital pharmacist, or actually I think most of you have dabbled in hospital pharmacy, how can an aspiring hospital pharmacist make their portfolio stand out? And they are a second year pharmacy student, so I think it's good that you're already kind of, you know, thinking about all of that stuff. But yeah, I'll hand over to Sharifa first, and then anyone else can chip in if they want to.
Oh, first I'd like to say I'm happy that I spoke before Aaliyah, because that was phenomenal. You've done some amazing things, and I've done some work with MSF as well. So we'll talk about that, because I like how you got some mobile stuff going on in Uganda. So part of my hospital portfolio, as I said, I took advantage of university and I worked with Médecins Sans Frontières Haiti to create a portfolio. So then I was able to express my interest in antimicrobial usage and women's health. So then I used that basically to get the role I am having now, which is the acute, advanced acute pharmacist for acute care and emergency care. I've actually worked at Lincoln. That's where I did some acute work as well. So I use those experiences, and I deliberately ask to do certain rotations. You can't do every rotation. So I wanted to get involved in acute care because I was in the Navy. So obviously being in the Navy, I'm used to leadership, working in fast-paced environments. I find it fun, I find it thrilling, it works for me. So I've always kind of pushed and asked my seniors, I want to work in CDU, which is Clinical Decision Unit, SDEC, short stay assessment, emergency care, sorry. So I've always asked for certain rotations. So you need to channel what you want basically in your rotations, what you want in that year of pharmacy, you decide. The year can go by real quick if you don't decide what you want. So it's all about you looking opportunities further along the line and be like, okay, I want to do acute care. I'm going to ask to do this rotation. I used to stay after hours to sometimes just shadow. I worked for free on many occasions. Sometimes you really have to just think about not the money, but the goal at the end. So I've done that as well. What else have I done? Gosh, yeah, I looked up conferences. I'll take my annual leave to go to conferences. So I went to a conference in Geneva, then I was spotted to speak the next year. So I went from just an attendee to a panelist. So it's all about utilizing the time that you have, sacrificing a lot of time, sacrificing money sometimes as well. You have to accept that. But great opportunities can evolve from that. Hope that helps.
No, that was so good. I just wanted to ask whether Leah had anything to add on to that.
That's really amazing, Sharifa. It's amazing how you've sort of, you know, been so determined to get those placements. And like you said, it's not, you know, you do have to have that strength, that kind of courage within yourself to try and ask that question. And sometimes NHS can be a different kind of space, because sometimes the morale is low.
Yeah.
A lot of political decisions happening at the moment, whereby not everybody is happy and chirpy or as motivated, and we ourselves might feel quite sort of deflated in our mood. But you have to try and find that spark within you again, and look at the bigger picture and you know, whatever goal you have at the end, and actually, still, you know, go to whatever rotation you need to go to. Always open your mind, always learn, and always feed yourself as knowledge. Your knowledge is always your power, and the experiences that you have, and that's what kind of pushes you forward. So in terms of the question, I think in terms of secondary care, what I would say is definitely try and make the most of any experience you have in secondary care. Don't forget we're allied professionals, so we are pharmacists. So in the greater landscape, we are just one way of delivering care. You've got your physiotherapists, you've got your doctors, you've got your nurses, you've got everybody so important, and so are we. But we have to continue to also strive for excellence within our profession, but at the same time be mindful that we are also working collaboratively with everybody else. and be respectful of everybody else as well. And always sort of say that how you as a pharmacist can contribute to their wider strategies and to their wider goals, which is always patient care and patient safety. So, you know, it's about, I think sometimes as pharmacists, we're guilty of just becoming tunnel visioned as a pharmacist, but we kind of like take a step back and look at the bigger picture here, that actually we're in a hospital, and if you were a patient, you're not just going to need a pharmacist 24/7, you know, you're going to need the entire team. So really integrating that team, that would be my advice, especially with the new cohort of pharmacists graduating as prescribers. That integration is quite key. And that cross-pollination across various disciplines is key as well. And there's no harm in actually, like Sharifa said, using your own time to perhaps go and shadow a radiologist or shadow somebody else. There's no harm in doing that, because you will learn a lot. So I'll just echo what you said, Sharifa. Thank you.
I like our mindset. Thank you.
Sorry, just because we're on the topic of kind of shadowing and seeking out experience, I just wanted to ask whether one of you could briefly answer this question regarding how to get placements in a hospital at the moment. This person has had multiple experience working in community pharmacy, but is currently struggling with, you know, finding experience outside of the placement that we do, because they would like to kind of shadow and see the day-to-day life of a hospital pharmacist. So I was just wondering whether one of you could briefly touch up on that, or if there's any place that you can signpost us to as pharmacy students.
I would love to answer this. I'm very passionate about this. So actually, I did some work in terms with Stream Pharma in terms of training and encouraging community pharmacists into hospital pharmacy by giving you a 2-week placement at certain hospitals. And the hospital we chose was in Portsmouth. So I did, as I said, I did 6 months community, 6 months hospital, and I saw the gap. Like, it was so hard. If I hadn't done that hospital experience, I would not have been able to be a hospital pre-reg. So I joined this health consultancy team, and they basically provide a 2-week to a month training on just shadowing a doctor, pharmacist. You just reach out to them. It's called Stream Pharma. That you pay like a little small admin fee, but it's invaluable. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a little bit of money to just get ahead of the game. So Stream Pharma, if you go on to your internet browser, just type in Stream Pharma. There you can go onto the web chat. You can speak to me directly, because I still have affiliation with Stream Pharma, and I can direct you in the right path. So that's my take on that. Elia.
No, I mean, I must say, I do apologize about this, but I think in my current position, I don't really get involved with student placements. But however, I understand there's a talent management academy or talent academy where most students that have an aspiration or an interest, they come through that. But however, what I would say is each region is different. So if you know, just start off by contacting the pharmacy department, and they might tell you how to do it properly. That's what I would personally do. And then contact your university, see if there are any existing placements. But yeah, what you've just mentioned is also an avenue if that is available in your locality. The first port of call is just contact and see what you can do. It might be worth just doing it voluntarily without getting paid or anything, like Sharifa has just mentioned. Then there is some value in sort of doing that just to get an insight. But yeah, you know, and just don't be too put off if people are busy or whatever. It's just the NHS. So there will always be somebody that is willing to show you something. So don't be so disheartened if sometimes if you go into a department and actually at that day things are quite busy. I think it is at the moment a bit stretched on certain days, and people can be quite stressed because we've got poorly patients, and you got so much to do. So try to understand why that might be the case.
Thank you so much. I've now got a question for Kiran, which is to do with your transition into the pharmaceutical industry. The question is just what inspired you to move into the industry, and how did you transition? How did you go about that transition? I think you briefly touched upon that. So if we can kind of touch upon like what inspired you. Was this your long-term goal? Was it kind of you saw the opportunity and like, you know what, let's go for it, let's try something new?
Yeah, I think I knew very early on in my degree, probably even before I started the MPharm degree, that I was interested in the pharma industry. Because my interest throughout university was focused on the drug development portion of a product life cycle. That was where my interest was. So it was very easy for me to focus my attention on developing more learning and skills in that area, because I knew, okay, this is where I want to focus my attention right now. And I think that really helped up front, being inspired about that aspect of medicine development, which is what led me into pursuing the split industry pre-reg and encouraged me to find opportunities to stay within the industry. So that, I hope, answers the question in short, because I know we're running over.
Thank you so much. No, that was perfectly answered. So I think I am going to ask a question to Abina first, and then after, what we'll do is I'll ask a question for all of you to answer and give your input into it, and then we will have to wrap up. So my question to you, Abina, is regarding what advice you would give to pharmacy students interested in becoming a GP pharmacist.
Yeah, so similar to what the others have said, definitely if you can get some work experience, even if it's, I mean, will it be paid? The thing with the NHS is it unfortunately probably won't be paid, but you have to think of the payoff that you'll receive, just in terms of the experience. That will look really good and make you stand out. My PCN, for example, if someone wanted to do that, they would email the practice manager. So that's practically the most accessible person. They would then probably pass it on to the pharmacy team. And yeah, like if you've got a week in summer, even if you've got 3 days in summer where you can just spare and go to your local GP practice and then find out if they've got a PCN, which is kind of more of a locality thing. See if they can, just host you and just shadow the pharmacist there. Get an idea of what they're doing. What does their day look like? So essentially that's what you'll be doing if you end up also being a GP pharmacist. And I guess for applications in future, you want to prove that you've actually, seen what they do and that you've taken it on board. So perhaps get like a journal and just make sure that you're quite specific in, the things that you're learning in their day to day. But yeah, I think the easiest way would be volunteering your time so that you get the most benefit. Another way actually is also LinkedIn. So we don't use LinkedIn very much as pharmacists. I think it's more seen as a business tool, but actually, some pharmacists do, and you can message people on there directly. So if you want to message, I don't know if you're local to me at all, but for example, if you'd messaged me, I could see if you could, come shadow my practice and I could sort it out with the practice manager. So sometimes going directly to GP pharmacists is also a good way to do it.
No, that was really good. No, guys, definitely hop on LinkedIn. The amount of pharmacists I bugged, these women will know, like the amount of messages that I've just sent to different professionals, just for anything really, career advice or.
And people want to help. People love talking about themselves. People love helping. Like I was so honored when you emailed. I was like, of course I'll do it. So like, rarely people say no. Just the fact that you're asking, they're really like, they want to help. So yeah, use it.
No, thank you so much. There's so many good questions, but just to kind of circle back to the theme of this webinar, which is to accelerate action. My final question to you guys is, what steps do you think pharmacy students and young professionals can take to become strong advocates for inclusivity and representation within, pharmacy? So I will start with Aaliyah.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I don't mean to jump in there. So I'm just conscious I might have to go, but I'm actually the pharmacist lead for inclusive pharmacy practice for NHS England. within the Midlands this year as part of the work that I'm doing. So I'm doing a lot of work around inclusivity aligned with the equality, diversity and inclusion characteristics, aligning it to workforce recruitment and retention sort of challenges that we have. I think as pharmacy professionals, there's been a lot of data around differential attainment gaps and, based on sort of race, ethnicity and various protected characteristics of people. But certainly just continue to educate yourselves, continue to use these tools that are out there, continue to be inclusive in your practice, make a conscious effort to widen your own horizons and, constantly be culturally inquisitive about things, and also allyship. We can all be allies and make sure that we all sort of embark upon that and take on the training needed to be allies, and how we need allies for maybe protected characteristics that we have, but that doesn't mean that we can't be allies and help another person that's not represented enough. So we all have that duty to do so, and it does start as early as you want it to start, as you need it to start. So it does start within the universities, and also always address things that are not right or don't feel right or anything. Always address it and try and keep data and records as well. One thing we don't have is enough data and records of practices or behaviors that are not right, and it's difficult to justify it sometimes. So if something is happening that isn't correct, try and get some sort of robust evidence for that. So that's all for now. That's just me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Leah. We will, I don't know if you have to dip off just yet, but we will let you, feel free to drop off when you need to, but that was an amazing answer. And just in case I don't get to say this before you do leave, thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I've just really appreciated.
No, thank you very much. Real honor to join, and really amazing speakers. I've just read all your little profiles as well. You're all really amazing, and hopefully please keep in touch. And LinkedIn, pharmacy is a small world. So please do keep in touch with me, and thank you for accommodating me. I'm sorry, I've just come out of a talk and I'm just going to go back to the same talk. So thank you so much. Have a lovely evening, all of you, and please do keep in touch. I am on LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to answer any other individual questions you all have. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Oh, that was lovely. So who would like to go next? Kieran, did you want to go next?
Sure. I think encouraging inclusivity yourself is a great place to start, and lead through yourself. That action is really important. I think with the current pharmaceutical industry as a whole, with the new Trump administration, there's changes in the US legislation that may be now influencing the UK. And be conscious of that, and just keep your awareness open of those things that may be impacting the UK market. But I think if you can champion through yourself, champion through the work you do, be aware of your unconscious biases and actively try and work against them, be open and curious to new people and their experiences, I think that will support you long term with inclusion and diversity.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kieran. No, I think it is the thing that you mentioned about kind of recognizing your own unconscious bias. I think it's so important, whether you're in a patient-facing position or not, to recognize that and try and do your best to actively make sure that you're not using that to negatively impact on the choices that you make or how you treat your patients. So I really love that you touched up upon that.
I think one thing for me that I do actively is I try not to assume anything about an individual. I think off the bat, sometimes when I email, people assume I'm male because I have a ambiguous first name. It wouldn't be the first time, it will happen again in future. So I have had that lived experience. So I try for everyone I meet. It's a blank slate. You don't know who this person is, what their experience has been. So yeah, to lean in and take that approach.
Thank you so much for that. So I will now hand over to Sharifa for you to give us your insight into the question.
I think I'll probably be saying exactly what everyone else has said in terms of collaboration. So as I said before, people at the top are collaborating, people below are competing. And I think with it being Women's International Month, as women, we just need to collaborate more. If you have an opportunity, you see someone that you kind of want to be like, just be inspired, don't be intimidated, ask them how they did it. If they want to help you, they will help you. People that really want, there are people out there that want to help you. And people that want to help you will help you. And I'm one of those people, I've actually been told off for being overly helpful. I help others before I help myself. So you always find people like that. Everyone has a story. Everyone is a person. So look beyond the titles. When you go to a conference, don't just focus on talking about yourself. Listen to others. Talk about their shoes, their outfit. Break a conversation. Just learn how to communicate. And I just feel like it'll just take you very far. And just be kind. Compassionate leadership is something that we, NHS in general, I've worked in many NHS trusts. I've seen that there's a lack of it. And I think we need to make leaders more approachable. And I'm someone that wants to advocate for that, just to be more approachable, be seen as someone that when you see me, you can see yourself in a couple of years. I've only been in pharmacy for 5 years, so that's not long, but I'm ready looking for other avenues, and I'm asking questions, I'm collaborating, I'm not competing. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to say. I hope I answered it.
No, that was so good. Collaboration, not competition, guys. That was really good. So last but not least, Abhina, can we get your input into the question?
So yeah, everyone's covered most of it, but I would definitely add that just be kind, speak to people, be genuinely interested in knowing everyone, regardless of their background, just like the basics that hopefully we've all covered like in school. Just try and be a good person. I think the NHS, we all know that there were so many downfalls, but what I will say is there's so many like good people, and like you could be one of them, even if you go private actually. But in healthcare, you have to genuinely want to like be around people and like people. I think that's a really good quality. So yeah, make that known by, I don't know, simple things. So for example, in GP, obviously I'm working across 2 practices, one's a lot larger, one's a bit smaller, but regardless, I try and always just like say hello in the morning and like make an effort. And I know some people will say, oh, like I hate small talk. It's not really small talk. It's like at the end of the day, your colleagues don't have to be your best friend because, you know, you're different ages and whatever, but actually just that simple, like, hello, how are you doing? Even if that's all you say, like you've acknowledged them, it's nice, you've made yourself approachable. And I think when it comes into inclusion, a lot of it is like making yourself approachable to everyone and not having these like barriers or weird, just barriers, I guess. Like reduce that, just be nice, be down to earth, be a normal human being, and I'm sure that will sort of help break down any sort of barriers against diversity or inclusion.
Nice, thank you so much. So that is the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in this evening. It has been truly inspiring to hear from these 4 amazing women, and I really do hope that their insights have left you feeling motivated and empowered. I just wanted to say another huge thank you to the speakers for sharing your journeys and the advice, and also to the Women in Pharmacy webinar planning. You can just like turn your cameras on. Thank you so much. I could not have done all of this without you, from Shubi and Agape with helping with SOMI, Nicole helping me source speakers. I've also got my other subcommittee members, Zena helping with the presentation, Bradley helping us out as well, and then Martina as well. Thank you so much. I when we had started our mandate and I said that, you know, I really wanted to go about doing this webinar, and it came to Christmas time, I was almost like, oh my God, I almost didn't do it, but I'm really, really happy that I had the support of each and every one of you. So thank you so, so much for all your help. Yeah, you've been great, guys. And also, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the attendees as well, with all of your engagement and the amazing questions. What I'll do is I will take a screenshot of all of the questions, and if that's okay, I'll circle it around to the speakers. If you guys are happy to kind of answer whichever ones take your fancy, and then I'll share it out to the attendees of this webinar. If you would like to connect with any of our speakers, their contact details have been shared. They've shared their contact details, so definitely, you know, connect with them on LinkedIn, and I think some, if not all of them, provided their email address. So if you had any burning questions, definitely give them a shout. But with that, I will bring the webinar to a close. Thank you so, so much to everyone involved in tonight's webinar, and we hope to see you at future BPSA events. Do we still have tickets going for AC, or is it done now? If you are going to AC, the executive team will see you at AC. We only have a week or so, 2 weeks, a few weeks to AC. So we'll hopefully get to meet you guys again there. But no, thank you so, so much, and have a lovely, lovely evening.